Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are in this big, wonderful, awesome, beautiful world that we've been given by our Creator. I'm Pastor Brian. I'm a Creator's kid, and you are too. Hey, welcome. Welcome to our first installment of this new program that I've just started here on the Quantum Super channel, calling it Unalienable, which is a word, as you may know, that's used in our Declaration of Independence, referring to our rights. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. We're on live tonight. As I've said before, I'm still new to this, so I'm going to give a few minutes here for people to catch on and to come on and join us. Hello, nice to see you, Helen. What I'm going to do first then is a brief commercial, okay? Yeah, the pastor has to shill a little bit so that he has extra time to do some things like this. So just like many people who are here on our Quantum Super channel, I have found that the HempWorks CBD products are very beneficial as far as giving me a sense of wellness. I tend to not feel some of the same discomforts in my body that I've had from injuries and such things. Also, I tend to think a little bit more clearly, especially early in the day when I have some of this HempWorks coffee that you'll see. So if you would like to try, sample, or if you know about CBD products and are looking forward to trying a very good quality one, please go to the website you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen there, hempworks.com/creatorskid. And that's my online store there, website, where you can get some and try it. So yeah, I also use the drops here, the drip and the drop. Okay, so there's my commercial. Again, welcome to Unalienable. This is going to be a program that will focus on our rights, okay, our rights as humans, as children of God, as Americans, okay? And as I said, unalienable is a word that was used in our Declaration of Independence. But again, why am I beginning a program like this? Well, we here on this Quantum Super channel, and any of you who are likely tuning into a program like this, are doing so because you're truth seekers, right? Probably patriots and truth seekers trying to find out what the heck is going on. What is the truth? We know some things, but it seems like so many things we've been told and taught all throughout our life are just not true, or they're working out differently than what they're supposed to. So I decided to go on this journey with you all here to share some of what I've learned in my life, and I'll tell you some more about that later. But basically, we have all sought the truth and the facts so that we might all come to understand our predicament, our servitude and standing, to more fully see and grasp the importance of our sovereignty, our redemption from the commercial scheme of the corporation, the United States corporation you've been hearing about. Your state is operating as a commercial corporation, okay? And therefore, we've had servitude foisted upon us. We are subject to the Congress, according to the Act of 1871 and the Second Commercial Constitution. Okay, we are going to be seeking the truth, trying to find out how that happened, how we're living, and how we can be redeemed from that and come out of it free and private people, not U.S. citizens. We're talking about being a private American citizen or a state citizen. So we'll get into that more in the near future. I do have a guest who's going to be coming on here today. His name is Ptah. As you see in the description, it says Prepper Ptah. Well, I'll ask him about that, and he'll be able to explain that to you. His name is Ptah Williamson, and I've just gotten to know him a little bit here recently, and he's very much into this whole freedom, patriot, and redemption movement. So, as a matter of fact, I think I'll bring him on here just a second. Hello, brother Ptah. Are you there?
Hey, how you doing, Pastor? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, let me check the comments here. Just
Okay.
make sure. Hello, anyone listening out there? Can you hear us? Can you hear Ptah? Want to say hello again, Ptah?
Hello, friendly world.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can hear you, so we'll go on as if everyone else can. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, before we really get into discussion again here, this is the first show. We did a test last night, and there's one thing that I wanted to try once more that did not work last night. So I'm going to try a screen share here so I can show the picture of the promo picture or graphic that I did for our show here. Let's see. Share screen, it says. That looks good. Share your entire screen. There we go. All right. Now, to me, it looks like that should be correct. So what I'm going to do is try this. All right. I'm looking at my other monitor here just to see if it is in fact happening. It looks like it is.
It looks awesome. Looks great.
Yeah, you can see it. Okay, good. So thanks for bearing with me. While we got this up, what I want to do is read just the first part of the Declaration of Independence, where this word unalienable is used, the first couple of paragraphs, so that you can hear the context in which it's used. All right. So it says, in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the power of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitles them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So there, the first part of the Declaration of Independence. And you can see that, oh, look, there you can see the coffee. So you can see that's where we get the unalienable rights, and where I got the title from for this program. Now, that's not where the rights come from, but that's where that word is used. And so kind of wanted to take the first part of this program to talk about that word, what it means and how it's used. Ptah, I'll ask you first, and then I'll go into what I have prepared here about it. There are two words. There's unalienable and there's inalienable. They are often considered to be synonyms or the same thing, but they're really not. I'm going to talk about my understanding. You seemed real interested about this too. How do you see this word?
Well, I mean, based upon my research over the years, now I have seen original parchment where it was said that Jefferson used the word inalienable.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the original document, I believe it's in the Library of Congress, and but all of the other framers used unalienable.
Well,
So
since you
unalienable
brought
is the
that up,
official. Yeah.
yeah, since you brought that up, I was going to say something about that and what I had just read about that. I did read that in the Jefferson Memorial, it uses the word inalienable.
Yeah.
And so I decided to look that up, and I did find an article online here from freedomforallseasons.org, and it talks about unalienable rights. And it says about that, it says Jefferson's original draft of this phrase in the Declaration of Independence was written, "We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable, that all men are created equal and independent. From that equal creation, they derive rights inherent and inalienable, among which are the preservation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Now it says members of the Declaration Committee of the Continental Congress that had been selected to write the document included Benjamin Franklin and John Adams, who had slightly different beliefs. And it says here that the word inalienable was changed to unalienable at their behest, I guess. And that passage was then changed to be, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal."
Yeah.
That's
right.
So
because there were at
apparently
least
he
5
wrote it that way first, and then it was changed, and that's why it's in
interchangeably.
the Declaration this way now.
Absolutely. So originally they were synonymously, one, and there was at least 5 people on the committee, by the way, because Jefferson's, he's often credited with writing everything. There's a couple of things he wanted to put in there that they're like, yo, bro, you got to take that out. Like he wanted to accuse the King George of having slaves, and they like, yo, man, take that out, man. You got slaves, but anyway,
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was an interesting thing though that you pointed out. That's a great point too, because I did come across similar, and it looked like when you look at the parchment, the writing, it almost like he looked like he made a mistake. I'm looking at it. It's his handwriting. I was like, did he mean inalienable or? But well, they were using quill pens back then, so you can't hold it against them. But yes, but it's a very powerful word, and all of the other framers and going forward, they were using unalienable. And even at the time that it was written, so unalienable is the official word. So that should be settled. That's a settled fact. Yep.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, I used this last night on the promo, and somebody in the comments did say, well, I think you ought to be pronouncing that unalienable.
Yeah.
not unalienable. And I thought about that, but I'm doing that purposely
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Exactly.
they
Yeah.
have different meanings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an accident that
Yeah.
saying unalienable,
Yeah.
because the words inalienable and unalienable really are different. And I wanted to go into this a little bit. I looked in Black's Law Dictionary, um, and there are, of course, different editions
Yeah.
of Black's Law
I
Dictionary.
have the third edition. I think they're
Good.
up to like the 10th edition now, or the ninth
Right,
edition.
right.
Yeah.
The one that I looked at was the eighth edition,
Mm.
and they basically say that the words are the same. It gives the definition of inalienable as not transferable or assignable,
Right.
also termed unalienable, it
Yeah.
says. And Black's eighth edition does not even define unalienable or unalienable, as they would
Wow.
call it, and
Mm.
so would have us believe that the words are synonymous.
Yeah.
But if you go back to an older version of Black's, like second edition,
Sure.
they are separate and
Yeah.
different. All
Right.
right.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I'll tell you, I looked them up, and it
Yeah.
says inalienable was defined as, this is inalienable, was
Yeah.
defined as not subject to alienation,
Right.
a characteristic of those things which cannot be bought or sold or transferred from one person to another, such as rivers and public highways and certain personal rights, as in liberty. All right. Now, Black's second edition also does list unalienable, and it
Yes.
defines unalienable as incapable of being aliened, that is, sold and transferred.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at first glance, the two terms seem pretty much synonymous, but
Right.
inalienable means not subject to alienation. The word unalienable is incapable of being aliened.
Sure.
Okay, so to go a little further with that, um, unalienable is incapable of being aliened by anyone, including the man who holds something
Yeah.
unalienable.
Right.
So, thus, it's impossible for any individual to sell, transfer, or otherwise dispose of an unalienable right. So, it's impossible for you to take one of my unalienable rights. And it is likewise impossible for me to even voluntarily surrender, sell, or transfer one of my unalienable rights.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
once I have something unalienable, it's impossible for me to get rid of it. It'd be easier for me to give up the color of my eyes or my heart
Yeah.
than to give up something that's unalienable. It's our God given,
Yeah.
endowed by our Creator rights, is what
Absolutely.
unalienable means.
Absolutely. That's the word that I always use as opposed to inalienable. Now, interestingly enough, I have the 1828 Webster's dictionary.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a
By
must.
Daniel Webster. Mhm.
Yeah, and and so they have their take on inalienable. And interesting, it appears that it meant that it was non-transferable, of course, and that it could not be taken away unless it was through, by a court. I'm like, really? I'm like, did I read
Mhm.
that right? So, yeah, words mean everything in dictionaries, and the law dictionary is, there's a meaning and nuance in the law dictionary, and there's a totally different meaning and nuance in a regular dictionary. So, and
Right.
that's what
Oh
people have to
yeah, color
understand.
of law. They use words differently, don't they?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
legalese. Mhm.
Legalese. I mean, even shall and may, you know,
Yes, yes,
you
that's
know.
right. The well and shall in legalese means may, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't mean must or will. It means you
right.
may. You may,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Oh yeah, that's. I mean, they get
yeah,
you in court and they use all
yeah.
these words. You think they,
Right,
you know what they're saying, but they're
right.
saying something else.
Exactly. Now, shall in the Constitution is like must. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
you're a must. You're compelled. You know what I mean? This is it. Final. You know, you shall. You know, it's not no might like may.
Mm.
So the framers were very literate
Oh
back
yeah.
then, and they were geniuses in a lot of ways. And I always do that. I always go back and forth with some of my brethren of color because they like to bring up the slavery issue and the 3/5 clause, and I go back and forth with them, and I
From
kind
the
of give
14th Amendment, right?
with the 3/5 clause
Yeah, from the
um,
14th Amendment, right? Hmm.
from the what you would find in the Constitution proper,
Oh,
and
okay.
the 3/5 clause where the they were to count three men out of five as whole, as opposed to
Right.
counting five out of five. And
Okay.
so a lot of my guys would say that somehow that meant the measurement of your humanity, and I would always say no. Slavery in and of itself was inhumane and brutal.
Right.
you know that they didn't have to do anything superfluously to add on to the fact that you were inhumane. It had to do with taxation and representation purposes, So I always say they didn't want the slaveholding states to have an advantage in the Congress over the non-slaveholding areas. So
Yeah.
okay, so I always try to mention that, and I always tell them that I say, hey, you were grandfathered in. Just read the Declaration, where it says all men are created equal. That
That's
part right
right.
there,
That's
that
right.
grandfathered you in.
Hmm.
Everybody, I don't care what color you are, you were grandfathered in. Because a lot of times people like to say it wasn't for me. We were slaves. We were 3/5 of a man. They were white racists. They were slaveholders, and look what they did to the natives. And I said, hey man, you'd be surprised. I mean, they never talk about the Northwest Ordinance. I can go on and on. I don't want to go off
Yeah.
but yeah, there's so much because there were a lot of like it was over nine people that signed the Constitution who were against who didn't have slaves, and the whole abolition movement was really big, and the only reason why they settled on slavery. They thought that they knew that they couldn't end it overnight, so they said, "Hey, let's
Right.
get this country up and running first,
Hmm.
and then we can again attack the issue of slavery." You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah. That
yeah,
that that I agree. I agree. But what I was saying about the 14th Amendment, and you're the 3/5, I think you're right, is in the Constitution.
yeah,
But 14th Amendment came later after the Act of
yeah.
1871 in the corporate Constitution. And
18,
that is
1868.
okay. And then it
Uh,
was ratified or something in 71, I think, wasn't it?
it was ratified in 1868.
Okay. All right. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you. Um, but the 14th Amendment is what established U.S. citizens, United States
that's right.
citizens. And that was originally intended, I understand, to help bring the newly freed slaves into the country as citizens, and no longer slaves. Um, however, but it said subject to the Congress,
Subject to the
instead of
stuff.
Congress subject to we the people. And this was a new corporate constitution, but they eventually used it against all of us
Absolutely.
to enslave everyone.
Yeah,
And that's something that's not often talked about or even very widely understood.
that's right.
Yeah,
It was the first time that the Constitution had the word persons used as opposed to all citizens born. All persons born in the United States and the states wherein they reside are subject to the jurisdiction thereof. It's like, whoa, subject to whose jurisdiction? United States. United States is 10 square miles.
Right, right.
Yeah,
District of Columbia. Right,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of ambiguity that these lawyers tend to do, with the semantics and stuff.
You know what? And semantics, and getting back to the title of our show, the the word unalienable,
Yes,
I believe has been used for those very purposes. I've got
sure.
one other difference here I wanted to read between the two of them. Um, this says concerning unalienable, says you cannot surrender, sell, or transfer unalienable rights. They are a gift from the creator to the individual and cannot, under any circumstances, be surrendered or taken.
That's right.
All individuals have unalienable rights. Then it says you can surrender, sell, or transfer inalienable rights if you consent, either actually or constructively.
Yeah.
Inalienable rights are not inherent in man and can be alienated by the government. Persons have inalienable rights. Most state constitutions, it says, recognize only inalienable rights.
Yeah.
And they've used that to trick us into consenting,
Right.
into unwittingly volunteering into their program.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then they do transfer, sell, surrender, or
Exactly.
allow us to surrender our rights, even if we don't know it. But
That's right.
if they are unalienable rights, which they are in your original declaration, then that cannot be done.
Correct. That's right. Yeah.
And it's interesting too here that it says persons have inalienable rights.
Yeah.
Well, you know what a
Yeah.
person is? A person is a corporation. It's not a man or a woman, right?
That's right. And the only way that a person would be a flesh and blood if it actually said natural persons. All right. And so
Mm,
you have the law books that clearly made that distinction. Natural persons would
right.
be considered flesh and blood, but persons could be a trust, an LLC, a corporation. Yeah.
Yep, that's in the
So
commercial code and
yeah.
under admiralty law and all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
legalese.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so person can be used, and most people use person meaning man or woman, but
Yeah.
if you get into the legal system, that is not what it means. It's a legal fiction,
Yes.
a non-living entity that they give some commercial rights to, right? That they can
Right.
give or take away.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mhm.
At will.
At
Yeah.
will. Yeah, they can
Yeah.
alienate the rights, as it says. The government can do that. Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
And
it. I'm sorry.
oh, okay. The word person, and I heard this brought up by Charlie Ward, Dr.
Mm,
Charlie Ward, and I
mm.
looked it up, and he said person comes from the Latin,
Latin. Latin.
and it
Mhm.
means mask
Mask.
wearer.
That's right. Mask wearer. Yep.
It
Absolutely.
really does. One who wears a mask or puts
Yeah.
on a masquerade.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's
And
right.
think about that with what's
Yeah.
going on these
Isn't that
days.
something? And when you mentioned, remember what you did about the world being the stage.
Yeah.
See how that all, and we're all
Oh, yeah.
we're actors and actresses on that world stage.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
but
Oh, right. We're
it's
all in
just
a play. We're all playing a part, and we don't
yeah,
even know it.
we're the collective protagonists. So what we have to do is we have to flip the script, as we should say on the streets in hip hop. We got to flip the script, and so that
Mhm.
we can, when we write the ending, we come out the victors. you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And for those who view this, he referred to a short video I did last week called "All the World's a Stage," where I kind of worked my way into this issue in a way that's a little easier to understand, I think. So yeah,
Awesome.
thanks for bringing that
Yeah.
up.
Oh man,
Hey,
I
I wanted to ask you about a little bit about your journey since you agreed to be
yeah.
on here.
Mm,
I gave you the title in the show
mhm.
Prepper Ptah
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
be,
yeah,
because you seem to refer to yourself as prepper and you've got that
yeah,
Prepper English
yeah.
uh,
Proper English.
website.
Yeah, yeah. I
What
got
does
the
that
I got
mean
the
to you?
hoodie. Well, of course, that was a play on the term of proper English. And I always had
Mm,
a love for words. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of the hip hop movement. I'm a native son of hip
mm.
hop. Born in Philadelphia or domiciled
Yeah,
in
amen.
Philadelphia, and birthed in Philadelphia. And people always thinking, oh, cheesesteaks, oh, soft pretzels, Will Smith. I'm like, the Constitution was came out of there. They always forget that. So anyway,
Yeah,
it's like I was
declaration.
born in just the right time, the right place, and for the right things or whatever. So, but yeah, so yeah, I always had a love for the English, grammar and the English language. My mother, she used to do crossword puzzles, and so she was really good because she can really talk. Yeah, because she can talk ghetto on you in one instance, and in the next instance, she can get real formal and talk like a real erudite in a very
Mhm.
erudite manner. So, and she used to read a lot of newspapers. So as a young child, I always loved
Oh,
reading and stuff like that.
very intelligent.
Yes, yes, yes. And street. So it's like a kind of
Yeah.
walking that fine line between street and still being, you know what I mean. But it wasn't no Urkels over here. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I was smart, book smart, but I was
Right.
always was street too, streetwise. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because one thing that gangsters and thugs they like, if you're smart and you got heart,
Hmm.
they rock with you. You know what I mean? If you're a coward, you die. Of course, you die 1,000 deaths. They don't want to be around no cowards. So when you're cool, and I knew hip hop and I could dress, I was cool. Ladies and all that stuff. Talk to the girls. But they like guys that are virile and they are they're brave. Everybody likes a brave heart.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
so the proper English is just a play on the words of proper English. So once you get to this level of epistemology, this higher firmament of epistemology, you become a prepper. Trust me.
Mm, mm.
Once you know what's going on, yeah.
Does it
So
have anything to do with preparation or being prepared? Looking at your website,
absolutely,
it looked like that.
it's all about emergency preparedness.
Yeah,
You
that's
never
what I was
know
picking up.
when we say FHTF, when the shit hits the fan, you want to be already in place and have your 10 toes down, firmly planted, and person of your word. You carried out of all of the things that you plant, and you're ready to go. So it's all about emergency preparedness. You want to be in a position where you don't get caught with your pants down, as we say.
Mm,
So
hmm.
it's no different than wanting to be being a minute man, you know, uh, in colonial
Right.
times. You had to have your weapons and everything like that. At a moment's notice, get up and get out there and fight and do what you have to do. So
Okay, amen.
it
Yeah, and I think I put your website in the description. What is it again?
is www.prepperenglish.com.
Prepper,
Yep. Yeah. PR.
P-R-E-P-P-E-R,
Yeah.
English
Yeah.
dot com.
See, back in the day, we didn't really call ourselves preppers. We were doomsdayers, or we were Christian survivalists,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
that's what they
and
called.
you've been on this journey for a while. It's one of the
Yeah.
reasons I asked you to be
Yeah.
like first guest here with me because
Yeah.
we're in a group online call in the Happy Committee now.
Yeah. That's
Um,
right.
yeah, it started off as Healthy Americans following
Yeah.
Peggy Hall, but I could
Yeah.
hear that Ptah knew a lot about this.
Yeah.
And you're saying back in the day, how long have you been in this freedom redemption movement?
Uh, I mean, I think my watershed moment was when it started out with me kind of like being associated with the militia movement. In 1985, we had a major bombing in a city block. It was known as the Move bombing. So, and it was something that never really happened in an urban city before. And so they had dropped C4 explosives
Oh,
on a house, and it wound up burning down the whole neighborhood. And these were people that were considered, radical, whatever. That they had like, locks in their hair. We don't call them dreadlocks, but like I have like my, they had locks, and they were back to nature kind of people, and so
uh-huh.
the neighbors called the police because sometimes you'd be playing loud music, or they said they didn't take out the trash or whatever on time, and there were kids in there that didn't go to school or whatever. Anyway, the city had a siege. It was a city. We're under siege. The city's kind of like swarmed on them, and and they were trying to negotiate with them, and they ended up just burning down the whole neighborhood. They dropped C4 bomb on what they called the bunker, which was like just really an appurtenance on top of the roof, but they called it a bunker, and the bomb. So I was 18 years old at the time, so
Okay.
that really touched me, and I said, man, I said if they can do that to them, they can do that to us, and so I started getting into
Mm,
that's what started my foray into the movement, the freedom movement, generally the militias and stuff like that. So hey, we had to have self defense, and then the Black Panther Party was a big moment for me too. Just
mm,
reading the history of
right.
the Black Panthers because they were a militia, and so yeah, and so that's what got me over there. And then we had Ruby Ridge, and then Waco, and
Oh
and
yeah.
and, and I
Yeah.
and I had sold books out on the street. In 1992, I went out. I was out on the downtown street selling books on the table. And the audacity of me. I was like about 24, 25 years old, and I was selling books on the street, and I had all kinds of books. Of course, a lot of black titles, whatever like that, dealing with the culture and the history of Black American history, Black African history, and all that. But I had other books too. I had conspiracy, what they call conspiracy or occult books and stuff. And William Cooper was one of the books that I had. So I sold Behold the Pale Horse and Ralph Epperson's The Unseen Hand and New World Order. This is in
Okay.
'92. So yeah.
Mhm.
So that's when I started to and I read those books. I didn't just sell them. And so I was one of those warrior scholars.
Mm. Oh,
And
okay.
so once
Now,
you start
William
reading and
Cooper, I've
reading,
heard you mention him before.
yeah,
Sound like you followed him pretty closely. I
yeah,
heard about him as being a person who had a radio show back in the 90s, and
that's
that he
right.
even gave an early warning
Hmm.
very close to the time of when 9/11 happened.
That's right.
And there was obviously more behind that, and that's a whole
Yeah,
issue that we can get into another
yeah,
time.
that's right.
But that's where I heard about him, that he knew about it,
Yeah,
that it was going to happen ahead of time.
yep, yep.
And but you used to work with him, or you knew him? Is that right?
Yeah, he had a shortwave radio, and I used to send money. He used to ask for blank money orders. Um, so I supported his broadcast. I was sending blank money orders to him. And I had his merch. He had a shirt and everything like that. And because I had already sold his book a couple of years earlier, and when I found out he was on shortwave, I said, "Oh man," because I had a shortwave radio. I was always into, all kind of. I always had prepping type stuff. In the city, it was like rare for a city slicker to have prep type material, bug out bags, camping equipment. I like dressing like that. I wore like Timberland boots and North Face jackets and, army fatigues,
Uh,
and, like, and real clean army fatigues, not the one you look like, the faded, but just brand new everything, but the ruggedness, what I'm saying? It was hip hop.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was always kind of like utilitarian, street, militia minded, prepper minded, always like jackets, North Face jackets, Columbia jackets, low alpine, just stuff like that, all type of stuff that's weatherproof, rain
Mm-hmm.
resistant, water resistant. That was just my thing. So, and I always had like all kinds of camp equipment because I used to like to go camping. So
Right.
yeah, and that's what got me over into the whole world of prepping too.
Yeah,
And
you were
yeah,
learning to become a real individual, your
yeah,
own
had a
man.
pocket
Yeah.
constitution, and so once just reading the Constitution, it's like it, it's just so powerful. It was a game changer. And I had a pocket, it was we had a little pocket because we had a place, of course, down in the in what we call the Independence Hall area or whatever, Old City. and you get a lot of tourists down there that would get things, uh, anything pertaining to our colonial history. So I would go down there and get flags and stuff, the original 13 star flag,
Yeah, right.
and all kinds of the Gaston flag, which the militias use, the Don't Tread on Me's and stuff like that. So I was really into that.
Mm.
Yeah. So when
Um,
yeah, so that's what led
since
me
you
into the whole sovereignty thing. Um,
okay, I'd hate
yeah,
to interrupt you, but you brought up flags, and that
yeah,
just kind of brought up the question in my mind about the current flag and what they say about the gold fringe
mm.
on it, being admiralty law or maritime law or military. What's your understanding of that?
Well, there's a lot of truth to that, because I mean, if you look in Title 4 United States Code, it really tells you what our flag is, how it should look, and everything like that.
Mhm.
And so, and when you get into that, you understand that what our flag should look like, how it should be flown and stuff. And so usually when you see the gold fringe flag on there, that suggests that we're in a different venue. We're not in a proper venue. So it has been associated with admiralty or maritime. Those words are used interchangeably, but there is a slight difference between admiralty and maritime. That's another thing. But yeah, it suggests that, and all the research that I've done, it's but see, like the southern, you have groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they used
Right.
to always come at us and say, the federal courts ruled against, they struck that down. They said that was frivolous. That there's no difference between the gold French flag, it has no meaning or whatever like that. So,
Mhm.
of course, they won't tell you that that you're in admiralty, but we are in admiralty, and
Mhm.
very powerful people always wanted to bring admiralty on to land for
Well,
obvious
it's
reasons.
commercial law, and it was
Yeah.
updated as the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, right?
Right.
Back in the
Right.
60s, was it? 1960s, maybe?
Uh, Actually, the Uniform Commercial Code will go back to the 50s, I
50s?
believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But
Um,
that's a kind of the updated modern version of Admiralty Maritime Commercial
yeah.
Corporation law, right?
Right.
And
It-
that's
it-
what we've been operating under, not the common law of the Constitution.
Absolutely. I
Mm.
mean, when you're dealing with property law, um, it's definitely commercial property law, and it's dealing with property rights, basically on the high seas. And so
Mm.
you're being adjudicated as a vessel, as one of the vessels in the Sea of Commerce. I
All
mean,
right.
you really can't make this up.
No, and when we are birthed, it's really being put
Yeah,
into like a ship's berth, and
absolutely.
you become property just like a ship's manifest and all that,
Right.
right?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
see, it goes so deep,
Yeah.
it's just devious the way it's been
Your
set
birth
up.
certificate. It's interesting because we have the Department of Vital Statistics in Pennsylvania. It goes to the Department of Vital Statistics, and then after
Mhm.
that, it goes to the Department of Commerce. Like, oh man,
Yep.
you know. Yeah, so understanding what venue you're in is key. You know, and then acting accordingly, and act accordingly. But what I've done over the years, I really don't I don't really get into because so when people they have their red pill moment, they want to get out. They're like, oh, I want to get out. I want to get out. I don't want to be part of it. How do I get out? I said, you know what? I said, you just whatever you got your name and all that, keep it. Don't worry about it. I mean, if you want to just get the simpler thing to do, just trademark your name and just set up a corporation. I mean, because I don't want, I never give people advice. I never try and tell them to do this or do that, because I've seen so many people get in trouble and they do it the wrong way. And so
Mhm.
I try not to complicate things for people. I just say, just read, study, and once, I mean, if you focus on really commerce and getting some money or whatever, then you can be whatever you want once you get to that certain level.
Yeah, amen. And
Yeah, because you still have to pay your bills. You still have to keep the lights
right.
on. And I've seen so many lives, Pastor,
Mm.
get ruined. So many marriages get destroyed. So many people get killed and murdered by the Nazi Gestapo jackbooted thugs.
Well, there are
You
a
know,
lot of misunderstandings, and of course, the powers that be really don't want us to figure this out.
yeah, yeah,
They want to keep us as debtor slaves and under their thumb.
yeah,
Fortunately, recent events have
yeah,
kind of forced people to
yeah.
become truth seekers more and
That's true. That's
learning
true.
more about all of this. But something
Yeah,
you said tonight, you mentioned the Southern Poverty Law Center, and
yeah,
they're not a group to follow or subscribe to at all. But you
yeah,
mentioned them last night because we were when last night when we did a test, we got a little bit into this discussion, and we're
yeah,
wondering how we were going to describe this movement,
yeah,
if you will. It's kind of most commonly known as the redemption movement, I guess,
yes,
being redeemed, having
yeah,
our rights redeemed, sort of almost a Christian type of thinking along
absolutely.
those lines.
Yeah,
But it's regaining our sovereignty.
yeah,
We, the people, are sovereign. We took that from the king, who was the sovereign of England and ruling over us.
that's right.
Um, but the thing that you brought up, that you mentioned last night, which I hear pretty often still, and it's just referred to as a sovereign citizen movement.
Yeah,
And that's a problem because sovereign citizen movement is being used to describe people or designate people as domestic terrorists.
that's right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, police,
hmm,
judges,
yeah,
agents get trained about, quote, sovereign citizens.
that's right.
Think they're above the law and all
Yeah,
of that. That's not what we are.
no,
Sovereign citizen makes no sense.
yeah,
It's an oxymoron. You
yeah,
cannot be sovereign and be a citizen really at the same
yeah,
time
yeah,
unless you're a private citizen,
right.
capital C, as
Yeah,
referred to in the Constitution, that's a
yeah,
little different. But the way they
right.
mean it,
Yeah,
it makes
like
no sense. So
like
I
lower.
really, really, really stay away from that term
Yeah, yeah, me
because,
too.
yeah, it's used against us so much when we're just
Absolutely.
trying to be free people.
Yeah, yeah. They heard terms like that. I mean, if you say you're a sovereign and you're, it's almost like it's a cryptonitic type of chant for the, and
Mm.
they just see them just kind of just they get bent out of shape by saying certain words like militia,
Yeah, right, right.
sovereign, common law. You should
Mm.
see them wiggle. It's like the wizard, the witch in the Wizard of Oz, and you pour the water and she just melted.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
when we say certain words, it just gets them so uptight. And
Mm.
so, yeah, sometimes I just like say militia, 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 common law, common law, common law,
But
sovereign,
you
sovereign,
see,
sovereign.
that's partly because those words are correct if
Yeah,
used properly.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
when you use them, it does make them nervous because
yeah,
they want to find out then if you really know what you're talking about.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they actually will get are somewhat trained to try to trip you up.
Sure, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, just the fact that and I go back and forth. I had a couple of lawyers disbarred because, and this is back in the day, they thought they knew something, but and they had problems with me. But I knew law, and I said, I'm like, yeah, this corporations are not even mentioned in the Constitution. So I'm like, how did we get here? And so,
Mm.
I'm a sovereign in that sense. I have the power to condemn, you
Yeah.
know, McDonald's, the power to condemn Google, Apple. If you're doing, any type of business in my venue where flesh and blood people do business at, it's like, hey, of course I'm going to give you a hard time because you're not even supposed to be here. But, you had the Supreme Court ruling in 1887, which essentially made corporations like people having the same rights they can sue and be sued, they can contract, they can buy, sell, hold property, and all this other crazy stuff. And
Mhm.
in fact, and as we all know now, they got more rights than you,
Yeah.
and they were created on paper. you know,
Mm-hmm.
and yet, Roe v. Wade would say that, the life inside of a woman have no rights, but a corporation does. I mean, what kind of world are we living in, bro?
Well, and that really happened on a technicality.
Yeah,
That whole decision based
yeah,
on the word person
that's right.
that we
Absolutely.
mentioned before.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. They did
And
not define the child as a
no,
human being,
no,
as a live person. They
right.
were considering it, he or she, as a person.
And a fetus.
Uh-huh.
They introduced that word
Mm-hmm.
fetus to sort of like just strip
Mm-hmm.
away the humanity and the life form
Yep. And
of.
they did not define a preborn man or woman
Yeah,
child as
yeah,
a person
right,
because it had not yet been formed as a corporation.
right,
It had not been birthed, was
yeah,
not giving a birth certificate yet,
yeah,
and registered. So they
yeah,
were not a quote person in their system.
right,
And so therefore they have no rights according to them. And that's how that Roe v. Wade decision got through.
yeah,
Most people don't know that. I just learned
right,
that recently.
yeah,
And that's one way it can be overturned.
yeah.
Understanding that.
And there's another element, other layer that when you understand the judiciary and separation of powers doctrine, I mean, the Supreme Court can't write law; they can't strike down law. So I mean, that's a whole nother thing to unpack, maybe for another date. But the idea that the court can write law or strike down a law, they cannot strike down a law. I mean, it would only be binding upon the parties who brought the suit. You know what I mean? And or and one who was bringing the suit, and the other one who was defending the suit or whatever. I mean, but the notion that all the states would now the laws would be struck down is that's fantasy. That's not how an Article 3 power is exercised and how it works. So if anything, it would be binding upon the parties in that particular case, and they would go back to they would have cannon fodder to go back to the state, to the particular state, and then to deal with the legislators, all of the legislators, and then they would then change the law. You understand? But the
Yeah.
idea that the Supreme Court can just kind of like, with a decision and just, all the laws, okay, let's all change it. You can't do that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen.
So it's just so many different things. I mean, I don't really recognize this country anymore. So once you start reading the Constitution, you're like, whoa, we're so far removed from original intent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an
Right.
originalist for the most part. I'm an originalist, and so I love the common law, and I love the Constitution as it was written and as it was intended. I always
Mm-hmm.
liken the Constitution to like software. Because I'm pretty much in the tech, so it's like having software that can run throughout multiple generations forever ad infinitum. And the only thing you need to do is just to do an upgrade, just like you upgrade. You have to do an upgrade. When you get an update or any type of update, that's the only thing you have to do. That's where we have amendments. But other than that, it's able to run forever and ever and ever, each generation, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I liken the Constitution to some really fine and advanced software.
I see. Okay. Yeah, good. And now we see a virus has been injected into it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like Bill Gates and his
Yeah,
viruses, his computer virus,
exactly,
and now
exactly.
his biological virus.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah,
another whole can of worms.
absolutely.
Um,
And
but
but
I really wanted to start a program like this
yeah,
because it is something I've been studying and learning
yeah,
about here recently, and because of some of my own consequences
yeah,
that came upon me because of some of my past decisions and mistakes,
yeah,
I've had to deal with things um, legally
yeah,
that I was finding no remedy for. And I kept being told that you can't do that, or you don't have that right, or there's
Yeah.
nothing we can do. We can't help you. Um, when I knew that there had to be. And so I just started studying and looking and trying to find another way. And
Yeah.
the more you look and the more you read and the more that you listen, things just aren't supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
start uncovering all these deception and these
Yeah.
lies and these acts, and that all that changed everything. And boy, we can go into the history more at
Sure.
a later time,
Yeah.
but because of current conditions, the fact that more and more people are waking up,
That's true.
uh, yeah, taking the red pill,
Yeah.
truth seeking,
Yeah.
trying to learn about rights and the republic,
Yeah. That's
um,
right.
the Constitution.
Yeah.
Um, I just figured it would be good to start a program, a forum where we can discuss some of that, present
Yeah.
some of the true facts, some of the real laws,
That's right.
um,
That's right.
and really get back to having people being real living souls, men and women in this country,
That's right.
American citizens, citizen
Yeah.
with a capital C, not US, United States
Yeah.
citizen with a small c.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
And the term alien abduction is real and it has occurred. I always tell
oh,
people because you've been abducted by aliens into a federal enclave where the prime mover used to be God as far as your rights. The prime mover is now the state giving you privileges as opposed to
benefits and privileges.
yeah. So you've
Mhm,
been abducted through
mhm.
there into that zone by hook or crook, usually adhesion contracts through
Yeah,
contracts, and so your mother didn't know, she was drugged up, whatever, and then
right.
she's in a hospital and she's signing paperwork and stuff. And so it's what we call in the law adhesion contracts,
Hmm.
and so that's alien abduction for real. We are in another venue, and you have to say, "Hey, I'm not there." If I had sent paperwork, actually, this it was dated September or September 11th, 2000, September the 10th, 2001, right before the towers went down. It was crazy. I was like, whoa, it's just the next day I was going to send it, and the towers had fallen, whatever. I still wound up sending it the day after the towers with an addendum like, hey, that wasn't me, bro. And
Mm,
sorry about that, but I still want to get my paperwork. And I sent it in to Colin Powell because he was the Secretary of State at the time. And I was just essentially just letting them know that I'm in, the organic state, Pennsylvania state, not
mhm.
United States and stuff like that. So
Right.
I mean, I'm
The
sure they know me very
Pennsylvania
well.
Commonwealth as opposed to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
Exactly.
right? Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
So
amen.
I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I feel did a lot of paperwork and stuff like that, and they accepted it. Like Secretary of State, I sent some paperwork. It was some UCC stuff where we're dealing with property claims, like my name in all capital letters. He owes me. He's the debtor. I'm the secure party. My name in the proper noun, upper and
Right.
lowercase. That's me, and
Hmm.
I own me in all capital letters. It was just kind of stuff like that. And the Secretary of State, she accepted it because they know. They
Yeah.
know. I didn't have to say
Hmm.
anything like, "Yeah, this is me." It's like they accepted it, gave me back. I still got the file number and stuff like that. It's
Hmm.
still on file with the Secretary of State, and right here in Pennsylvania. So, I mean, and I've been able to just do business. That's a form of redemption because it's like the right of redemption. It's a law, a property law known as the right of redemption. So when the debtor has his property taken from him,
Hmm.
the debtor has the right to reclaim his property once he pays what is owed. See,
Amen.
that's redemption. So that's
Amen.
why we were taking control of our straw man. That's what we meant
Mm.
by taking control of our straw man because it was property that they took from us. And so we just give it back to them. Give them what they owe, and then give me my property back. So
Mm.
there's ways that took place to make that happen because there is no money, as we all know. there is no
Right,
money.
right.
But your
Well,
signature
hopefully
comes
that's
out.
changing, and you know what?
Yeah,
That would be a good topic for another show soon. Um,
absolutely.
we have got to the top of the hour here, and
Okay.
on the quantum super channel, we reserve 1 hour
Mm,
at a time. So
sorry, because I was just getting warm. I was going to
no,
get
I know.
into
We're
how
just getting
you're.
warmed up,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
another time,
yeah.
you know, we could go a little bit longer too. I was just looking at some of the comments here,
Yeah.
um, and I see
I can't.
Charlie,
Uh,
Cindy,
wait,
Mike.
I can't see the comments.
Yeah.
Why
Hmm.
can't I see the comments? Is it the
uh,
chat? It's not the
Probably
chat, is
just
it? What
have
is
to
it? Oh, I
enable
see.
that there in the
Uh,
browser. But I just
mm.
want to let you know that I have seen your comments here. Thank you for sharing them. They'll stay here with this video. Um, if I see
Oh, I
anything
see the
to
comments. Oh, I
really
do see.
address, I'll leave a comment in comments of the video as opposed to the chat room here.
Oh, okay.
Um, but thank you all. I look forward to doing this again. It's going to be Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Unalienable is the title of the
Unalienable.
show. I
Yeah.
may, if I feel so moved, you know, do a special edition of
Mm,
Unalienable at some undisclosed time. If something comes up, if something happens,
mm,
or if we think of something urgent to
mm.
share. So, Ptah,
Right.
before we
Yeah.
go,
Hmm.
your website again is?
Uh, www.prepperenglish.com. Not proper English, prepper English, um, which is our first language.
Yeah, amen, amen. And what do you offer there at your website?
Well, we got apparel. Of course, we got emergency supplies. You know, because some people they want to, they may want some food. You know, freeze dried food. They may want a generator. They may want some lights. You know, they want some some battery operated devices and stuff like that. We got
Mhm.
tents. Yeah, and of course
You have
we
shirts
got the
and things
t-shirts.
too,
Yeah,
right?
we got the
Yeah,
apparel. It's
yeah.
a different prepper site in the sense that the flagship attraction of the store is the apparel. You know what I mean? Because a lot of prepper sites, it's kind of corny because they have a lot of do it yourself. You know, what happens when the lights go out and all that stuff, but they're merch. They don't either the merch looks corny or, they don't have much merch. So I wanted to kind of make it like really cool to wear some of the merch, and then you can get
Yeah.
some emergency supplies, and you can see some videos on there too.
Okay. Okay, good. So y'all go see prepperenglish.com and check out Ptah's website. You can hear that he knows what he's talking about and can help you get prepared for what we have to deal with. Um, you can see scrolling along the bottom is my HempWorks site there for any of you who are
Nice.
thinking about CBD products. You mentioned
Mm.
that you were interested in that, Ptah.
Yeah,
So
I am
take
very
a look
much.
at that. As I said at the beginning, I do like the coffee, the CBD coffee that they have, as well as very high quality uh, drops are the two things that I use. They have other things too. They have gummies and pet snacks and all types of things.
Mhm.
So any of you who are interested in
And
that, please take a visit there. Um,
I know,
but
I'll buy some if you're selling it. I'll definitely give you a play.
Oh, all right, all right. Take a look.
Yeah,
And they can get hold of you. How? What? How could they write to you
yeah. They can
through
go
the
to.
website?
Well, see, I had Ptah at prepperenglish.com, but I'm changing that. For now, they can. I got the Gmail account.
Yeah.
That's just like my backup account. Ptah Williamson at gmail.com. If anybody got any questions or whatever, I'm always available. I'm really accessible, y'all,
Williamson at
and
gmail.com.
thank and I
All
would
right.
like to thank your audience for hope you weren't too hard on me, guys. I'm a big
No,
boy. I can take it.
yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. No, I look forward to doing this again.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for taking the time to be
Oh
here. All
man.
right.
Thank you, Pastor. God bless you. God bless America. God bless this republic. We're going to restore this republic. And remember, we don't want a revolution. We want a restoration of this
Amen.
republic.
Amen. A
All right.
restoration, a redemption, a revival.
That's
Amen.
right. That's right. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, God bless you too.
God
Thanks. We'll
bless you
see you
all.
soon.
All right, guys. God bless you.
All right, everyone. God bless you. Thank you for joining us in this new show, episode 1 of Unalienable. I'm Pastor Brian. I'm a creator's kid, and you are too. God bless.